Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, this is the first attempt at using our new capture form. So, you're gonna have to bear with me. This is nice. I don't have to sit here and make a docket all day and pair things up. So, thank you for those who did submit their form. I know that we're not going to get a big audience as much as we did on Sundays, but this makes it easier for me, and I can make more videos and do more live streams to keep up with the influx of people submitting. So if you are new to this channel, or if you want me to look at your swing, go ahead. The form link is located below in the description. Actually, it's not in the description. I'll add it when I'm finished with this. I'll add the description down below, but you can always go to my main channel and look at the description. Part of that music just now was giving me NHL. Yes, that's very true. Maybe we should do some sort of contest to create some intro music, because I just ripped that from some free site. So maybe we should make our own music. So if you know somebody who can make music, let me know. Thanks for joining me, Derek. So the first one is going to be Brian. Now, Brian, in his notes here, I'm just taking a look at the notes, and I don't see anything in particular. He's just talking about his overall journey, some of the changes he did make in his golf swing. Basically, upgraded his clubs, but now he is kind of stuck and he's regressing a little bit. So there's no real question about his swing in particular. We're just going to look at the swing and do a little cause and effect. Let me find his notes here. Looks like he was, it just says, it doesn't even say his handicap, it just says he's regressing. So we're going to take a look at his motion. I assume he's probably a high single-digit handicapper. And if you're on, Brian, let me know. But if you're looking at, changing your swing, you have to just look at why you're changing your swing. We don't necessarily have to change swings to look prettier. If it works, if you can repeat it, that's all that matters. But if you're looking for, first of all, you need to establish your goals. So if you are, let's say your career round is 78, do you want to shoot a new career round at 77? Then you have to take statistics to see what is preventing you from breaking that 78 margin. It could be anything you want to do. 3-month term goal, 6-month goal, 1-year goal, 5-year goal. It's always good to set goals out for you to achieve. Obviously, keep them realistic. You don't want to just say you're going to be a tour pro next week. That's just not going to happen. So I recommend anybody that wants to go to swing changes, why, first of all, is it your misses that's costing you to get to your goal? But let's take a look at this swing in slow motion. Let's go left side first. And by the way, if you do submit swings, try and just submit one swing instead of a bunch of them, because it's going to be hard to sync up. But left side of the screen, we see a little bit of flipping, tiny little bit of separation. Not too bad, though. Pretty strong grip, which kind of prevents something going on. And I think he talked about having a rope hook every now and then on his bad shots. So you can kind of see that closed club face down at impact, holding out that square release. Now, you can do this. You can make a square grip work if you increase your tilting back. I'm not even on the line yet. See, you don't prep for show and you forget to do lines. If you increase your tilting back to hold that angle so you can, carry this 4-press angle that you started, plus a strong grip. But because we don't, now we have to work on how do we delay that release correctly. And if you look at the right side of the screen, let's see if he's able to delay that release correctly. Yeah, a little steep. Okay, he tries to delay the release correctly, but it can be a little challenging. Chris, thank you so much, man. Hey, I don't expect this from you guys. I don't do this for the money. I do it to help you out, but I really appreciate it, Chris. Thanks a lot. So let's just draw some plane lines and take a look at this. And this is great because when I get these videos now, I don't even know what I'm looking at until we get them. So arch of the heels looks pretty decent. Club face is relatively square to his forward bend, which is okay. Little bit of separation in terms of the club head where it's going. So it's going to appear a little bit low. Now we do lose some shoulder tilting. So we see that left shoulder does come on up, but he makes a good compensation. So this is probably through time. If you start losing that shoulder tilt, your arms will naturally get lower. So he's built in another compensatory motion to raise up that secondary plane line by himself. So we have a little bit of independent arm positions, because if we were to keep that shoulder tilt relative, so if we draw this in red, if that shoulder tilt was relative with that hand position, the hands and arms would be a little bit higher. So he's developed a little bit of a steeper motion relative to his tilting, which explains why we get a little steeper down here. So you can see how they match, directly. So I would be looking at that if you want to, that could definitely cause some pulls and some rope hooks, specifically with a strong grip. We see the club face is doing a decent job of staying relatively open with the spine angle, but with that steep position and the strong grip, there's really not much you can do other than hold off that release. You do a really good job of getting your hands nice and high, which shows me that your tilting is increasing correctly. So right there, we see a pretty big severe shoulder tilt pointing down to where it was. That's a bad line. So if we go to the top of the swing, we see that that shoulder tilt was definitely much flatter. So we see this increase of shoulder tilt to help delay the hands from rolling over too much. This is definitely a grip biased swing. So these compensations are made from that grip. So the problem with that is now you change the grip, you need to change the swing. Anytime you want to change your in swing principles and your pre swing principles, you need to balance them. You need to do small little changes to both. And you have to understand how one affects the other, because if you do one without doing the other, it's not going to be a fun time for you. My recommendation for him, hey, if you're trying to get back to where you were and you're fighting rope hooks, you need to understand what causes that rope hook, and maybe either exceed your compensations to fight that, delay that release, or weaken the grip. Not losing much shoulder tilt. Keep your arms a little bit more relative to that shoulder tilt, so you don't get so steep with the compensations that you've made. But then again, I mean, what is your goal? Is your goal just to trend back the other way? You can get away with this swing. This swing looks like it can be productive. It's not like a broken swing. It just needs some tightening up. But what is your goal? I mean, if your goal to shoot sub 70s, then you might have to take a bigger dive. But if your goal is just to trend the other way, take statistics. Look at where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are. We do have that forward press. We got that strong grip, so you can alleviate some of this. Get that ball more in the center. Don't have much forward press or as much, just a little bit. Work on your centeredness, your low point control, your plane work. But that all revolves around the grip. So you can't change any of that unless you address the grip change. So, Brian, I hope that helps you. Now comes the moment of truth. This is where we have to delete these ones and pull the new ones from the form. So let's see if this works. We're going over to Norm. So Norm, if you're on, let me know. And these were submitted. I'm looking at the dates just so you get an idea. These were submitted on the 19th. So we've got quite a few to get through. Look at this. It's so much easier. And bam, they're just right there. All right, Norm, let's pull you up. Let's maybe zoom in a little bit so we're not so far away. All right. All right, let's look at Norm's notes. Okay, you took a look at my swing once, but you mentioned that you would like to see it down the line view. Okay, perfect. I've been playing for 15 to 20 years. I had a ton of lessons, which may be my problem. Let's see here. Have hip mobility issues, additional lower quarter rotational issues. My ball is typically a push fade. And when it's bad, it's a push slice. So we're going to have to look at the path. I have a number of shoulder surgeries, both rotation on both shoulders. Okay. Trying to shorten my swing and learn to release it better. All right, let's take a look. So we got some rotation issues, definitely some body limitation issues. That course looks very familiar. Is that down in Southern California, like Long Beach area? Let me know. Let's see. If it's for free, I'll take 3. Kevin, hey, you've come to the right place. The link, I forgot to put the link in this stream, but go to my main YouTube channel. You'll see the link. It's a form. Just submit it. It goes in order. And then we just, whenever I got time, I put these live streams on. I'm trying to get multiple ones a week just because they're pretty popular. What's up, Lion Gang? What's up, Lil Golfy? Thanks for joining me. Okay, so we know some history behind this gentleman. Let's just take a look at this pre-setup and see what's going on. A lot of rotation. Got a little bit upper body lean. Low point's pretty good. That's pretty decent there. That's a good shoot, good move there. Okay, this is the down line. This is the one that we missed. Looks pretty good. Little disconnection with the hands, a little steep. Do we flatten it out? Yes, we do. Okay, I can see where this can cause you some issues with that little bit of compensation move right there. So we go from steep to, shallowing out. Oh, I hate that term. But when you do shallow it out, now all of a sudden that club will fall below that plane line a little too much. And that's where path issues could come in, and also contact issues. So, once the club goes below that path, the lower plane line, now all of a sudden we've got to get our center point a little bit more ahead of the golf ball, or else we start hitting them chunky. So we do see the upper body on the left side. Let's see how much he gets that center point over. Yeah, see that center point is definitely getting over, getting that lean, almost kind of stacky, leany left to get that center point over. So one will cause the other. We don't know which one came first. That's the problem when you just see these swings that have been, ingrained for so long. We don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. So we're going to draw some plane lines here on the right side, lower plane line, upper plane line. That's a nice thick line there. Isn't that what she said? All right, and perfect. Okay, so pretty decent setup. That's pretty good right there. Left shoulder is not quite able to keep that turn tilt relationship, so we do lose our tilting again. And this is quite a common thing that most amateurs do, is we lose the tilting with our irons a little bit more so with the drive. Drive is okay to lose a little tilting because it's on a tee. We don't have to strike down. We can swing up. So you kind of want to lose a little bit of tilting to help you turn. But when you start losing this tilting, it makes it easier to extend your turn because you lose the tightness in that left side. And when you extend your turn, that's where problems can arise. You can turn too much, and that all of a sudden gets your hand speed to increase. And when the hand speed increases, that all of a sudden gets them to go too far back because momentum's on the side. So now we get a little bit too much going on here. Now we got to do all this unwinding with the hands behind in space back here, and they have to kind of match up sometime at impact. So if you want to look at your swing, look at your spine angle when you first start. Are you maintaining the relationship? So a good relationship would be, perpendicular to that initial spine bend. Obviously, that's the perfect one. Now, I'm not saying this isn't perfect, but this is that cause and effect. We have to see, if we do increase his shoulder tilting, can that assist him in keeping things a little bit less chaotic back there? But on the contrary, I've seen some great students with this loss of tilting still find a way to make it work as long as you can do it over and over again. Now, obviously, we're not robots. We can't do it perfectly. It comes down to your misses. Like when you can't do it correctly, how bad are your misses? Are they in Having Camp's pool or Jabroni's barbecue? Or are they right, rough, left, rife? Or are they all left, all right, occasional left? So you have to think, what are your misses in any swing change? It's not your good shots. Who cares about your good shots? It's your misses. That's the quickest way to identify your problems. So we do see loss of shoulder tilt. We'll extend that turn, and we see these hands getting a little bit too involved. And when they get too involved, they get too far back. So no matter how much tilting you do, because they're so far back, any amount of turn is going to throw them steep. So we see that turn, even though we're trying to drop our hands down, we see the triangle working down, but because they're so far back, the turn's going to override the tilting and the dropping, and we get slight bit steep here, and then watch that club head is going to fall below that plane line, and that's where heaviness is coming in. That's where rights and lefts come in, and it comes down to your release pattern. So for this gentleman, he's got a great swing. I really like the core fundamentals of his swing. I think for him to really shorten his swing, he'd have to look at that turn and tilt relationship, because look at how much turn he gets back here. I mean, that's basically where you would like to be. I mean, that's plenty of turn. It's almost at that 90-degree angle, but look how much further he goes back. I mean, he gets well past the necessary turn. The club is decent. At least it doesn't get past parallel or past his T parallel. But in terms of, where he would like to be for the goal, that's all you need. So look at the difference. I mean, look where the club is here. Now, obviously, they might go further back a little bit, but versus where it is now. I mean, we're eliminating, look at all that we're eliminating just by reducing the turn. To me, that turn comes down with the turn tilt relationship. If you can find a way to keep that tilting related to that turn. So this first move, you're wanting this left shoulder to go more down towards this right knee to keep up with the shoulder bend at the start. So from here, you're looking for that left shoulder to be there. And if you do that, I promise you get that left shoulder to be more down to maintain that tilt turn relationship. This whole left side of your body is going to just be tight, and it locks you into your turn. The only way to get out of that is to come out of your posture to get more turn. So you want to remain in your posture. That makes things a little bit easier. Now, having said that, that could open Pandora's box, because just because we've eliminated your need to turn too much and reduced it, then all of a sudden, what's going to happen? The rest of this compensatory motions are still ingrained, and they're going to be there. So just because you stop this doesn't mean this is going to stop by itself. So you have to really do this slowly. This is going to take many repetitions, specifically with somebody that's been playing for quite some time like he has. It's just a very patient-driven motion. So I hope that helps you. Just look at your turn-tilt relationship. Let's catch up on some of these. Taking your analysis and complexities of the golf swing. Keep it up. Thank you, Miguel. Appreciate you. A little golfy. I like that he doesn't try to make everyone the same. I hope you talk about me. Yeah, nobody's the same. I mean, not even the tour pros. Look at the tour pros. There's no tour pro that's ever existed that has the same swing. They all have different motions, just like us. Hi, any suggestions? I damaged my right elbow years ago, and I cannot straighten it completely out. And it being my trail arm, having problems slinging through impact. Well, you can look at alignment. You can look at changing your whole body position. The key is plain work, consistent plain work. What are you trying to get out of it? Are you trying to get more distance, Benjamin? Are you trying to get, more control of your direction? What are you ultimately trying to do? Because you can take that and go 20 different avenues. Really depends on what you're doing. It depends on what you're capable of doing, how much practice time you have, how much you want to invest into it, because it is quite an investment to do swing changes. And is it worth your time, honestly? 20 you're watching. Hell yeah, boys. You got that, Doc. You see your sign back there? Everybody, Doc spot. Just request a spot. You never know. You might get one. Sorry, that should have been 8. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so I hope that helps you, Mr. Norm. I almost said your last name. I'm so used to dealing with members. All right, next up. Let's delete those. I'm really digging this new form. All right, next up we have Dan. Let me pull these up. All right, we got him there. I believe this is Dan. All right, we got some indoor motions going on there. Let's hit play. Let's zoom in a little bit so we can all see. All right, Dan, it looks like you got the glitchy video. So while you guys can watch glitchy video, I'll read his notes. Always had a set of clubs, but started taking golf seriously 8 years ago. Decent player with a single-digit handicap. Former college baseball player. Have had online lessons in the past and worked on a little more shallow and less steep in the downswing. We got to come up with a new term of shallowing. We got to come up with a new. So if you know a word to replace shallow, let me know. My left arm doesn't straighten all the way due to a surgery. That's okay. Doesn't need to. About an inch shorter than right, but no other limitations. Have a setup on my house. I can see that. Looks good. Ball flight is usually a small cut or fade. Generally swing thoughts to keep everything closed and let hands, arms work down. Some days are better than others. Just looking for general idea if anything is off and things could be better. Okay, let's take a look. Now, we're at the mercy of my computer. So if all of a sudden the stream dies, no bomb didn't drop here, the computer glitched because of this. So let's take a look. All right. So far looking pretty good. Little weight distribution falling into it. There goes that steep he's talking about. And okay, so that's going to give you some path issues. Let's take a look at the right side. Hopefully we can find the right side. Here comes glitchy. All right, there we go. Okay, Slight forward press, shoulder tilting's ahead of the forward press, so we got some issues with our angles. Decent turn, a little bit too much there. It's okay, good. Good, you stalled it out. Okay. Okay. I'll tell you what, this is a really good connected swing. You can see that baseball coming out in you. So I love baseball players that turn to be golfers. Okay, so we can all kind of see this right elbow is causing a little bit of disconnection, a little bit of throwing the ball position. I think a lot of this has to do with your setup and how you know this forward press related to your tilt is probably going to play some havoc with you, and you have to release that angle fairly quick, more than you probably like. So what I'm talking about is this tilting here. The center of that tilt is out in front of that golf ball, which is okay, but you don't want it to be too far out because now what happens to your club? You might not feel like that's a forward press, but in relation to that center point of your tilting, we've got to somehow make up this in your downswing. So sometimes I've seen upper body center points get way out ahead to close that gap. Other things I've seen is a really exaggerated tilt and turn, holding on to that angle. But then you have to figure out how do you strike down. It's essentially just bottoming out of two circles and trying to align them so they're matching each other closer. That's what I'm seeing here just with the setup. Now, in terms of your planes on the left side of the screen, we can see you do a really good job. Your setup looks fairly good. When we get to right here, that's a nice athletic setup. You can see the baseball and you coming out. So we're going to look at your plane lines. And we're going to take a look at what's happening on that plane line. So pretty good takeaway there. Gets that secondary plane line pretty well. Look at that. So it looks pretty good. Let's back it up 1 second here. Let me just check your turn tilt. And I'm suspecting you probably not tilting enough on the way through. So let's just double check that. Yeah, look at that. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you maintain that turn tilt relationship. That's baseball right there. A little bit long. I would try to encourage you to just, pause, stop your arms there if possible. Now, I know that this has to do with momentum of the club and how fast you swing, but that right there looks pretty decent. That little bit there is going to throw off your connection. So if you want to shorten the arm position, it's not necessarily shorten the turn. We're not shortening your turn and then getting your arms back to here. We're keeping that nice deep turn that you have, but keeping everything out in front. Because this here is going to be a little bit easier to time versus that last second ditch. And specifically with your injuries that you have, that's something you might want to consider. But let's take a look at the tilting on the way through to see. Yeah, you can see the lack of tilt. So there's the tilting change. So we didn't really change much in our angles. And now let's do a quick little tilt check with who is coming to dinner. There's 51, and starting is, it's only 10 degrees of tilt. So you're looking at 15 to 20 and more with the way you set up. I mean, you can see with that forward press, you'd really have to get, 25, 30 degrees of tilting to carry that angle. You like my dance? To carry that angle down. So with your limitations, there's a couple of things you can do is maybe set your whole body up to the right to help you fight that steepness. So even if you are steep, you're closer to your planes. That's a quick fix you can do. But then you have to look at your ball position, because when you start moving your whole body right of the target to work with some cheating the system with the plane work, that's also going to mess with your ball position. Your ball position has to move further back to match that change in your alignment. So that's one way. Another way is just, physical therapy. I know that's a long, kind of boring answer. But you're looking for ways to tighten things up. So as you take that turn back, don't let the hands, fly away too far back here. You get plenty of turn and tilt. It's beautiful. Keep that all that you can. Just think more out here. If I was doing with the students, I really hit home with my students sometimes. I stand right in front of them and I have them put their arm, not like this, but I can't show you on camera, but right to the side, right there. And I put my hand right in front of theirs. And I say, I want you to slap my hand as hard as you can. And all the time they go like this, bam, with their hands and arms. I say, okay, do it again, but just keep your elbow stuck on the side and slap my hand again. And then they usually just go like this with the hands and arms. I say, okay, no, freeze your hands and arms and now turn and turn and just keep that thing frozen in front of you. and boom, and you just hear the slap, just bang, and they go, whoa. That's the connection you're going after. So if you want to, keep things connected, that's where power comes from. And for the amateurs that don't really have the timing gifts that the best in the world do, you want to be connected longer. I'd much rather have amateurs swing shorter, more controlled, because you're going after consistency. It's not distance that you're going after. You're going after consistency. That's how you get better. The average scratch handicap is 260 when they're in their 20s. By the time they get to their 40s, it's down to 250. So you don't need distance. And you have 8, 9 irons. Why are you going to try and bomb a wedge 160 when you can just hit an 8 or a 7? So, well, I shouldn't say 8 or a 7. That's wishful thinking too. But I hope that helps you, Dan. Let me know. All right, next up. I'm on a little time crunch. What time is it? Okay, we're good for now. I'm good until the wife knocks on the door. All right, next up we got Jorge. Now, I don't know if that's George or Jorge. We're just going to say Jorge because I just have a feeling it's Jorge. All right, we're going to download his videos. And this is so much easier. I'm so happy this is working. All right, let's catch up here. Nice to see everyone here. Fellow chicken wingers. Yes, we're all chicken wingers at heart. I should be asleep, and I'm enjoying analysis as always. Thank you, Im. I appreciate that. Now, Im, is it Im or I'm? Because I want to say I'm. Okay, let's watch this. Now, this looks suspiciously. Oh no, I was about to say this looks like a Golf Tech, but I see a car there. I mean, the prices that Golf Tech charges you should get a car. All right, that's a great looking indoor facility, man. Okay, let's take a look at Jorge's notes. Let's pile up here. Okay, we've been playing for several years, consistency the last 3 or 4 years, taken a few lessons here and there, mostly self-taught through video and trial and error, body limitations, some minor mobility restrictions in the hips and thoracic spine. Working on it. Okay, injuries, nothing major, but some previous tightness in the lower back. I'm going to guess you might be a office worker because we all get tight there, sitting down too much. Right shoulder range of motion can rotate decently, but can get tight at the top. All right, current ball flight. Stock shot is mid-height draw, occasional overdraw or double cross. Missed pattern. Inconsistent club interaction, mostly toe strikes. Worst miss is a toe shank. Ooh, we call that toe fades. So there's the hosel fade and the toe fade. Can also miss with a block right or pull hook. All right. Okay, let's take a look. Thanks, Tony. Definitely help out. Okay. Oh, good. You were here. Thanks, Dan. All right, let's take a look. Some sequencing a little bit. We got a little bit of, lower body flying out the way. Kind of picking up and rerouting. All right. Let's take a look. These are actually synced up. Are they synced up for me? Oh, man. Perfect. Bonus points. If you can get this thing synced up for me, that's even better. So it's not necessary. Oops, stuck on the wrong one. All right. Let's zoom in first of all. See what you get with no editing. You just get me. All right, lower plane, upper plane. Let's take a look at the plane work. Let's look at the grip. The grip looks somewhat neutral to a little bit strong. We got a little bit of a shaft lean and related to our tilting. We got, it's decent. Center point is behind the golf ball though, so we're going to have to manage some of that. Okay, so with this setup, we got some issues. In order to strike down, you're either going to throw your hands too soon. You're going to move your center point over closer to that red line to make sure your center point's ahead. But with his steepness, that's going to be challenging. So we're going to take a look. Is this slow motion? Oh, you almost got the perfect video. So if you do send videos, please try and do regular speed. All right, so let's look at that center point. So there goes that center point. Is it reach over to that red line? Almost. Okay, so he does make a good compensation. His shoulders are leveling out, so he's not getting too crazy. He does carry over that forward shaft lean. So he does a good job of compensating. Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at the right side. Okay. So there's not a lot of turn early, more of the hands moving up, which they do. So in terms of the hands moving up, that's okay. But more turn would get that club a little bit deeper. We get the turn now, which helps him reroute. Yeah, this is a tough one because this whole swing is working for itself. Now I know I can see why the misses are coming the way they are. Look how steep that is, and there's no way unless you got like Flash Gordon hands. There's no way for you to drop it enough. So we see him try to get it below, which he does a good job of doing. So there's the plane. You can see that for that plane, at least he's going inside. He's not losing it right of that. So you can see this is a it's functional. It can work. It is limited. Um, so again, I mean, it really depends what you're going after. I mean, you're going after distance, consistency. If this was a distance thing, we would definitely looking at a little bit more, connected turn immediately to get some depth, to get some structure in your backswing. Because if you get that structure, it creates the tension in your body that you're looking for, that to create the elasticity of your muscles. The elasticity, the further you can stretch your muscles, the more when you contract them, that's where the speed comes in. That's where rotational speed. Looks like you're moving right to left sufficiently for that setup. This is like a total kind of overhaul swing. Last time I sent a comment here and it was too short. Then I missed you. Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, because you put and then or something like that. So he just disappeared. So if you don't mind with an input, I'm a plus 4.2 handicap, but due to my flexibility, I have parallel backswing on all clubs. I just speed up my hands down and manipulate. Um, Not sure what the help would be. If the quickest way is just send me your videos. The link. Oh, here we go. My shoulder turn is 12 to 14 more than tour average. My right arm would disappear by my hand. I've tried all kinds of medicine, still too long. Okay, yeah, that's a common thing. I would ask first what your overall tempo was like. Are you a fast swinger? Because if you're a fast swinger, it's very hard to control your hand depth and how far they go back, just because momentum takes that club head back, and that club head is going to weigh more with somebody that swings fast and somebody that swings a little bit slower. They can control the club head. So that's my first question to you: is what's your tempo? Now back to Jorge. Jorge, I would say this is like either okay, we can put some band-aids on this and make things a little bit better. We can work with a little bit more initial turn. We can work with your setup a little bit to help you, get promote a good weight distribution, promote a good sequencing. Right now, that setup isn't quite promoting a good sequencing. But again, this is you. This is your DNA. This is where you've evolved into by taking your own journey, and your swing the best. Um, my recommendations to you is if you want to increase your consistency and get a little bit more distance control, you've got to tighten up the setup. You got to think more like the shoulder tilt doesn't have to be as far. There's no premature forward press relative to that tilt. You have to look at the initial turn. So just a little bit more turn to help you get some depth so you're not so steep. But other than that, you're looking at a total overhaul, and that can be quite costly and quite frustrating. I've dealt with overhauls, specifically somebody that has multiple years under their belt of kind of building their own swing with multiple, ideologies and multiple instructors, probably online instructors, online YouTube videos that they can't contradict each other. So this is a tough one. So let me know. Email me. You've got my email. It's down in the link. Just email me and let me know what your ultimate goal is. That's basically what I can say. Yes, I'm very fast and aggressive. That could explain a lot of it right there. I mean, let me see, looking at vids and according to my coach, my hands are in front of my right chest, but I tend to overhinge my wrists. I'm looking for the root cause of my long backswing. Very hard to give you any advice unless I see it. I even when somebody asks me for a tip on my comment section, like, hey man, I don't want to lead you down, go searching for bananas when you should be looking for coconuts. I need a video. So if you want to send me a video, just email me in the link. It's not on this. I'm going to update this video when I've published it. I'll put the link down there, but go to my main page. The link's there. It's a form. Just send me 2 videos face on down the line. Put your notes in. You'll go in the queue. That's the best way to do it. It sounds like it's just a speed thing. It could be a speed thing, and it's just very elastic. You have speed and elasticity. That goes, whoosh, you go back, but then it comes down to timing. So kudos to being a plus 4.2. That's pretty impressive. I was a plus 4.2 in my dreams, I think, last night. Okay, I think I have time for one more. Yes. Do I? It's going to be close. I got to leave in 15 minutes. Let me do a quick one. All right. Quick one. Let's go Travis. Let's pull up Travis's videos. Travis, if you're on, it's great. If not, you can watch it later. And I'll email everybody that's on the show today. So if you ever do submit a swing to me and you think you're going to miss it, don't worry, you'll be here. You sure you want to delete this recording? Yes, I do. All right, here we go. Okay, Travis. Let's pull up Travis. Let's get some zooms going real quick. I'm on a little time crunch here. Why can't I zoom this? Oh, there it is. All right. This also looks like somewhere in California. Okay, let's look at what Travis said. I've been playing golf on and off since I was a kid, and I started taking it more seriously over the past 3 years. I've taken 2 online lessons through Skillest, the last 2 years. I don't have any range of motion issues. Currently struggle with my driver. Feel like I can't consistently start the ball in the correct line. I tend to push fade when I try to adjust by standing to the right side of the tee box and aiming left. Inconsistency off the tee. I'll go out of bounds at least once or twice. Mrs. Having camp, she's going to come and kill you. My current handicap is an 11. All right. Let's take a look. All right. Good swing. A lot of power. A lot of compact power there. All right. I think this is a good one to end on because it's going to be a relatively quick suggestion. Let's get rid of that. All right, let's take a look. Let me just slow it down real quick so my eyeballs can catch up. That's pretty good. It's a really good swing. Okay. I see a couple things here. So without getting too in detail, just because I'm on a time crunch here, let me just draw this real quick. Lower, upper, little thingy bob there. What's that called? Right brace line. All right, let's take a look at this here. Let's change the colors. Okay, so a lot of this can be set up too. So we got this shoulder tilting. That's a lot of tilt, which is okay for a driver, but that's basically where that tilt should be with the golf ball. With the driver, so when you have, remember, we're trying to swing up on the driver, so you want your center point to be pretty far behind the golf ball as you're swinging up, in terms of the parallel line to where your center is. Right now, you can see your center point is just over that golf ball. This would be a pretty good iron setup, but for a driver, with that tilting, you want your hands more out in front of your chest. You want that golf ball more out in front. Now, obviously, it's not going to be out over here, or else you're going to be hitting banana balls all day long. So you definitely want to just think about moving that golf ball, maybe a couple golf balls out over here, just to the inside. Get that shaft to be a little bit more pointing this way to help identify that you're trying to strike up on it. Because if you take a look at, right now, if things are just as they are, you can see one club is swinging down while the shoulders are promoting up, and your spine angle is kind of caught in the middle. So you want everything to kind of be ready to be swinging up. So it's more of this. And go look at John Rahm. John Rahm does it perfectly. Everything's out in front. Club is out in front, connected to his chest, and it's a lot less moving parts. Because I say that because as you get to the top of your swing here, we can see that right from here to here. Notice how your upper body's trying to fall back. It's trying to add loft to the club by falling back. You increase your tilting, which is good, but now your hands are way behind that tilting where there should be, at least half that gap. So if this ball was out over here, you with that correct tilting, at least the hands are going to be promoting that strike, a strike up. Now they're borderline promoting a strike down, unless you flick it. So there's just a lot of compensations I do see just simply from that setup. So in terms of that, just look at your setup, get that ball a little bit further out. Feel like you're hanging back a little bit. Take that same aggressive swing. I like your swing. It's very, very powerful. On the left side of the screen, we can see there might be a little bit of a issue with your weighting. So if you take a look, arch of the heels up to the sky, you can see it's a little bit toe heavy. Now, when you get toe heavy, you either develop compensations to maintain your posture or you start to dip forward. So if we take a look at your head, we're going to draw a little circle in red right around your head. And we can see that the head will start to dip forward. See that dipping? So now that dip forward has taken your centeredness. So if your centeredness of your chest started here, let's just say that's the center of your chest. As you take that club back, the centeredness of your check is dipped forward even more, which now that engages your toes. And when you engage your toes, you could use it correctly or you could struggle. Now, if you take a look at the top position where your hands get, this crossing the line, I've seen good players cross the lines, no problem, but it just creates more of a motion like this where that club will have to drop down pretty quickly. You do a really good job though. But as you strike it, you can see now we've lost some posture. So we're starting to stand more up. And that's probably because we were trapped on our toes because of that moving forward. So we couldn't really readjust and move back to maintain our posture. So we're just stuck on our waiting on our toes. The only way to go is up. But again, another swing that looks like it's just reliant upon itself. And that's the problem when, if you're going to get to a point where your current swing can just take you to that point, and that's where it can take you. Now, to go to the next point, to jump the next rung in the ladder, you're going to have to sacrifice some of that swing and get worse to then get to your new high. So do you want to get worse? Do you accept that to get to the new high? I think if you do want to get worse to get to the new high, make those subtle address changes, and then just work with it. Work on your centeredness, feel more balanced so you don't lose that weighting forward and get stuck. And you have to just kind of stand up because there's no weight distribution or correct weight distribution based on a setup. Other than that, just give it your best shot. Hope that helps you, Travis. Let me take a look at this real quick. Looking at the vids, according to my coach, my hands are in front of my I already got that one. Yep, exactly that. The forces really make my movements longer. Thank you for that. Do you do online lessons? If I can call you to talk before, that'd be nice. I don't do online lessons just because I honestly don't have the time. This is the closest thing I do for online lessons. It's free. It's something I do to give back to you guys. So just send it to me. It'll be in one of these live streams. It'll just pop up randomly. I'll email everybody. But if you want to, send me on your notes, just tell me everything on your notes. It makes it a lot easier with this new form submission. Landry, what's up? It's crazy how often it's positioning. Yes, the setup creates your swing. Now, obviously, body mechanics and your setup can either create a magic move or it can create a swing that's just not, adapting to your natural ability. Look at all the tour pros, their setup and their swing just work so perfectly together. That's because they've merged each other to create their motion. And I guarantee you, the best in the world, the first thing they check is their setup. They don't go straight to in-swing principles. They don't all of a sudden say, my club face is here, let me check why. They say, where am I aiming? Where's my ball position? How's my setup? And then if it's still cockeyed, then they go to the in-swing principles and address it from there. But they have, a team of 20 coaches and everybody. You guys just have YouTube and me doing this. So let's make the best of it. All right. Other than that, I got to get going. I'm running late, but this is so much better. Thank you, everybody, for submitting the form. You can go on the main page, submit your form, upload some videos, put your notes, bam, it gets sent to me. I just drop and drag. It's so much easier. Please, no slow motion videos. If you can crop it together, that saves a lot of time here too when I have to go back and forth. But other than that, appreciate everybody's support. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I enjoyed making it. And let me know what more videos you want me to make. Other than that, fairways and greens.